Check. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stuck in the Middle podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Reflex. Man, my co-host, AK, is not with me today. He's out of town, but, you know, I'm going to hold down the fork. I got a special guest in the building, man, and I know AK has been looking forward to this episode, and he's probably watching right now, but she is the CEO of the Oracle Group. She is a PR marketing strategist, speaker, and the chair of the NAACP Image Award. Welcome, Mocha Ochoa-Nana, to Stuck in the Middle podcast.
All right,
Did I get your name right?
Mocha, but Mocha is fine too. I've been called worse.
Now I'm
kidding.
I don't know how somebody can get Mocha.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Hey, my bad. But before we went on, you were saying your dad is actually Trinidad and your mom is Venezuelan?
No, my dad, because Trinidad shares waters at like 7 miles away from Venezuela. My dad is from the south part, which like at night you see Venezuela. So so it's a mix in the family that way on my dad's side.
The reason why I asked is because Nana is like a Ghanaian name.
Sure.
You get it a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, and they say I have a big round Ghanaian face, but no.
Yeah. It's not an insult. Trust me. Ghanaian people are beautiful people.
Right.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome folks. But we're here, to discuss the Oracle Group, what you do, what your company does. The process of writers, people who aspiring writers and writers right now can take their book and their project to best-selling list.
Yeah. Well, we try.
Yeah.
We try.
Like who? First of all, before we get into all that, like. For people watching, listening right now, who is Nana? I'm just going to call you Nana.
Okay. Who am I?
Yeah.
Well, I am a lover of books. I've always been a lover of books. From the time I was a child, I would get in trouble for, like mom telling me to go to bed and I'm under the covers still reading.
Word?
Yeah.
You don't get that these days.
No. I'm trying to think if I passed that to any of my children. There's too much electronics now, so I don't think so. But so I was able to translate that into a full career and still get to be around the people I consider heroes, which are authors.
Like, so for you, when did like this passion of book, reading start? Was it like, did your mom instill that in you? Because right now you're passing it to your daughter. Did your mom instill that in you? Or, you mentioned her, saying go to bed.
Yeah. I think it was because I grew up in a pretty strict home, a very religious, strict home, and books were my escape. So, I could go with Alice Walker to Africa, or I could go to the U.S. with, different authors who would take me there with their stories. So I think that was my way of escape. Man,
that's dope. I think that's one thing that is awesome about books. They can bring you into these different worlds. But I was in preparation for this episode, I came across one of the quotes, and I'm quoting you. You said, aim to become the most accessible authority on the topic rather than the greatest authority on the topic. And I'll be honest, I don't know what that means.
Okay, sure.
Break that down for us.
Sure. So you can spend your time studying about a topic and trying to be the best, or you can know your topic and be available. It doesn't make any sense hiding and studying. A lot of people, they hinder themselves when they say, okay, well, when I know this much, I'll go out and I'll go out and show my craft or my gift. No, it's about being accessible. If people can't find you, then you don't exist.
Wow. That's real interesting. So what is the process of book PR, book campaigning? Because is that tied together in what you just said?
A book campaign, book PR, absolutely. Book PR, it pretty much starts, I would say no less than 5. Actually, no. Let me stop there. Book PR starts from the minute you start writing the book. Because you have to write the book with the end market in mind, with the end user in mind. And so even when you got the idea for the book, you had something in mind that you wanted to teach, you wanted to impart. So from the beginning, you're starting that book to reach that audience so that by the time you're looking at an actual marketing plan to implement it, I would say about 6 months out, you're looking for those people who you first thought of writing the book for.
As a writer, if I'm thinking as a writer though, isn't that a little bit distracting? I say I just want to I just want to write a story like, I don't know, let's say Wakanda, for example.
Okay.
And create this world, is that something that I got to put in mind, like, hey, people are going to enjoy this fictional country that I create, or is that's kind of like what you explain?
Yeah, because, I'm sure Ryan, the director, I'm sure, he looked out and saw a lack, and said, you know what, I can do this, and I'm doing this for these people, this race, so he started with the end user in mind. I don't know if he knew he was going to make that movie was going to gross 218 million in 4 days. But he did. He started it with the end user. There was a void, and so he filled the void. He started that way. And
so what the Oracle Group does is take these books and puts it in, I'm just gonna say, bestseller list.
Well, that's hopefully the outcome, but realistically, everyone is not going to hit the bestsellers list. So it's more of Oracle Group helps the author to take it to the hands of the people, put it in the hands of the people that they wrote the book for.
Like, walk me through building this company that you have here. You're the CEO.
Yeah.
Did you start it?
Yeah. I worked at Barnes & Noble Author Promotions and that's where I started my career. But then that was the time that the book signing at the bookstore started to dwindle some. So I thought, you know what if we took this same idea and took it to a lounge or a place where, you and your girlfriends come and have some wine and, just sit back and listen to a great author. Just take it out of the sterile library or the bookstore to a place where you can have fun. So when we did that, that was successful. And sorry, when we did that, I was a little distracted. When we did that, that was successful. He yawned. I was looking over. I thought something happened. Okay.
Shout out to Deuce, by the way, our camera dude. It's like all this book talk. Just kidding.
Okay. So taking it out of there and putting it into non-traditional spaces. I didn't have the big Barnes & Noble list anymore. I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, they had that newsletter and you would know who's coming. So we had to actually physically go out, make relationships with, television stations, radio stations, to let them know that, these authors were coming to town and could they feature them on their broadcasts to have people come out. So it sort of evolved into it started as just a event that we were doing, but really it morphed into events that people would start asking us to do them in more cities, or people would start asking us to take their campaigns over. So, take their campaigns over to do it nationally. That's what I mean. So it just kind of grew from there. So from events to PR, natural just morphed into that. That's not really what 11 years ago, that's not really what I thought we'd be doing today.
The Oracle Group has been in play for like 11 years.
Yeah, we've been there for a while.
Whoa, that's
for huge. A minute.
Barnes & Noble is like going out of business now.
You know what it is? Because
everybody is like ebooks and like audiobooks now.
Sure.
Like even in the audio section, like I know Best Buy is taking out CDs because everybody's streamed now.
Yeah.
So what do you see the future of like traditional bookstores?
I think traditional bookstores, yes, they're dying some, but look at it at the same way why a whole bunch of Macy's are closing and a whole bunch of, other places are closing because you buy online.
Right.
If I go to a bookstore,
Amazon,
if I go to a bookstore, 9 times out of 10, there's a section of books that look like people like me, or, I want to buy books from people like me. They'll say, oh, we don't have it in. We'll order it though. So I'm going to get up, go to the bookstore for the bookstore to tell me, okay, we'll order it and, come back and get it. Or I'm just going to run over to some place where I can order online. It'll come to me right at my house in a day, sometimes same day. It's the convenience. So it's not so much the bookstore and the way people are consuming the information. It's more about the convenience of accessing the information.
So who's some of the Oracle Group's clients? Like who's some of the people you've worked with?
Oh boy, over the years.
It's been 11 years. I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like you've hit some.
We've worked with, like right now, we're working on Jennifer Lewis's tour, Mother of Black Hollywood. That's fun. I've worked with Reverend Al Sharpton. I've worked with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf on her book, former president of Liberia. Oh boy, who haven't we worked with?
Man. Just won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. One of my favorite people. Shout out to Lovey Ajayi. Worked with her, awesomely Lovey. Worked with a lot of people over the years.
Like so somebody might listen and think that it's just you working. Doing all, because this is a machine. Like, like not to get too much behind the scenes of the Oracle Group, but break it down. First of all, what the Oracle Group is and what it does.
Okay.
I mean, you already did, but like just cap it, yeah.
So I always say this. They say that every quirk that you have works for you and works for your gift. So me, I'm kind of ADHD. Like I've just got to be stimulated. This gets boring for a minute, then I got to go over here. So that works for me because different clients have completely different campaigns. So I have some clients that have books, some clients that their books are coming up, some clients that aspire or they're on the verge of a book deal. So really, if it would be very overwhelming to think about it that way. If I thought about it that, there's different clients, different needs, different campaigns, but the underlying goal of all of them, why they wrote books, is to expand their platform, to let everyone know that they are the expert on this, or they have the solution on this particular topic. So from the time they come in the door, we have their action plan, we have their timeline, and we've already figured out who their audience is. And it's just mostly research of seeing, getting the places where that person's solution will fit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
And then so by the time we're ready to execute it, we know exactly where we're saying, hey, you might want to see this book. Hey, this person's coming in town. Hey, this person would like to come into town. Or looking at businesses like, if someone wrote something on hypertension and in the Black community, we would try to partner them with, let's say, the American Heart Association. Hey, in February, you do a lot of events geared towards Black folks and the unprecedented rates, like we have high blood pressure and crazy rates. So that's an example of something that we would do.
Sound like a whole lot of money. And like before we went live, I was like, how's business? You said business is well. And when I was doing research for this episode, I went on the website and so every book PR company like yours has submissions. I imagine you don't just accept. You guys don't just accept every old thing that comes in the gate. So
no, we can't. And I've learned that the hard way, which is why I am finishing my book, which is for people that may not be at the place yet where they need a publicist, but they can do it. They can do a lot of the work themselves.
You skipping? You my notes, but let's hit it while we're at it.
Okay.
Self-publishing.
Yes.
We in the era of the digital era. Everybody has one of these, cell phone, computer. What's the title of your book, by the way?
It is The Mocha Method: Secrets of a Best-Selling Book Publicity Strategist.
Do you discuss self-publishing in the book, and like where do you see that somebody who's running a business geared on making a living on book PR, book strategy, book publishing, and all that, and if everybody's doing book strategy, where does that put you?
Well, I mean, authors should know from jump that you don't go into writing a book expecting to become a millionaire off of the sales of the book. No. That's not why you do it. You do it because you're trying to establish yourself as an expert. And when you establish yourself as an expert, a lot of times by the time authors write books, they want to do more speaking, or they want people to know more about their lives and, their expertise. So you're writing the book so that you can reach a greater audience. So that's where we come in and helping them to reach that audience. But, we're here because everybody's writing a book nowadays, but they may not have the strategy to get it out there in the right channels.
So what are you looking for, in selecting who to represent, and what criteria is somebody pitching or submitting? It's like, I got this idea. What are you guys looking for to say, okay, we're gonna take
It's got to be something that speaks to us. It's got to be something that's close to our hearts. Because you think about it, when you're pitching them, you're doing it over and over and over again, and you've got to sound just as excited about that book the first time you pitch someone a news outlet as the 200th time you're pitching. You've got to sound just as excited when you're pitching a client's material.
Man, this some fascinating stuff, bro. I mean, 11 years, you know what I mean? Like, I came across a word representation. It's an easy word, but what is that? As far as what is representation?
Representation.
Yeah.
It just means that
I guess as a PR person for the book.
Well, there's several different arms that
a book agent.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Okay.
So a book agent, I'm not a book agent. A book agent will they're the people that have the relationships with the publishers. Some publishers won't even talk to you if you don't have an agent. So when you're represented, it's just more, looks more polished. And if someone has taken the time to represent you, that means they've already kind of fished through that, wait a minute, this book might be worth looking at. And we're talking about the big five publishing houses. Which are, you want me to name them all? HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster. Oh, God, you put me on the spot.
My bad.
Penguin Random House. They used to be separate, but now they're one. Macmillan. Hachette.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it.
I think you got it. I don't know these things, but I think you got it. All the book people. I think you got it. If you ask me, you got it. I didn't know.
Okay. Okay. All right then. But there's just so many people self-publishing, or so many people who are realizing that, wait a minute, I have enough of an audience that I can do this myself. So case in point, there is a reality star who's on a pretty popular show, and she's wanted to write a book for years, but she's like, wait a minute, I already have the audience. So what is really, besides print, besides distribute, what are they going to do for me? I can just go online and tell people, here's a link to my book. What do I need a big publisher for? Yeah.
What are some mistakes though that like the people like us who don't have clout, online clout, you know what I mean? Like what are some that's a lot. Like you said, a lot of people want to write these days. A lot of people have stories to tell, which is beautiful, which is awesome. I think
everyone has a story to tell.
Everyone has a story to tell, and everybody deserves to be heard. But what are some mistakes that you see that people do in self-publishing?
Oh my gosh. Not taking the time to invest in themselves. If you're going to do it the right way. So I have seen photocopies come my way, people photocopying.
Dang.
No. Take the time to get a designer. Take the time to get an editor, somebody to read through your book, especially. Look, when I was doing my book, I was like, yes, good, I'm great, this is great. But then I had to stop and think, wait a minute, authors are going to be reading my book. So if my book is going to be picked apart even more, number one. Number two, if I'm talking about my business and I can help you promote your book, if my book isn't put together properly about what I say I'm an expert in, I can pretty much hang everything up. So I took the time to invest in someone who is going to look at my book and say, that doesn't make sense. Because, industry jargon, I could be using industry jargon, when your galley comes out and, your pub date and I'm saying this in the book, and it's like Chinese to people.
Yeah.
So it's good to have somebody else look over your book to say, wait a minute, you've got to explain that some more. The layperson doesn't understand industry jargon. So it's always great to have, not always great, it's imperative to have an editor look over your book. And, it's not that expensive. But if you're going to take the time to write a book.
Don't get your husband to look over it.
Right.
Or your homegirl.
Exactly. I would never do that. So, take the time, because even the little typos are distracting for some people. Yeah. So
it's not professional.
Take the time. Yeah.
So is that, I guess that's not a literary agent.
Right. So a literary agent will get the story, help you develop the manuscript, and then shop it to their relationships that they have with acquiring editors in publishing houses.
Okay, I'm a writer. I want to write this book about my man Deuce working the camera right now, and his story of building this media empire, shooting music videos, big budget, movies. And he's you know what I'm saying, from Nigeria. I want to write a story about his life. That's my idea. I call up the Oracle Group. Let's go. I got money. I got $20,000.
You're in. Okay, no.
But like, what's that?
Okay, so
I got $20,000.
Okay, great. We can run through that in about 6 months. I'm kidding.
Oh shit! I go broke. I'm trying to be bestseller list. Yeah, this $20,000 got to flip to millions. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Group.
So what we would do is first start with your why. Why do you want to write that story? Why do you want to write the story?
I want to tell this, what I'm saying, like kids out there that you can come from Nigeria and, and be Ryan Coogler. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there we go. We would start from there. So we'd look at your audience. Okay, so you come through the door, you tell us about your project, and then, we come up with a plan that we think will work. Send it back to you. Okay, you like it, you want to tweak it, then we're in business. So then we start looking at, hold up. Before we do that, we've got to look at, there's some things we've got to look at, because we've got to look at things like your current platform, which is very important. Your current social media, how many people that you have influence over. Because the less amount of people you have influence over is the harder we have to work. So think about this. If you're at a television station and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, I got somebody that I need you to put on the air. You're going to want this person on the air. Who is it? It's Al Sharpton. You already know who that is. But if I say it is, if I say Noemi Nana, right? Okay, so tell me about Noemi. Well, she wrote this book about, XYZ, and okay, and what is that going to do? Well, it's really going to help your audience do XYZ. See how much talking I have to do? See how much longer that takes? Then mostly it's not about, introducing people, but it's about the time that it takes to do it. It's harder to work with people who really don't have reach or who people don't really know about, because then you become accountable. So in the beginning, we used to go through this a lot where, okay, it's like, let's say I'm working with Jennifer, and let's say I'm working with Noemi, and Noemi is like, how come I'm seeing Jennifer on the Today Show, on Good Morning America, on this, on that? And, you got me in the West Side Gazette, and, what else can you get me on? It's going to take a lot more work cultivating her. So my advice is always, Noemi doesn't need a publicist yet. Noemi needs to work on building her own circle of influence, and take that money that you were going to spend on a publicist and put it in to make sure that your book cover looks good and you've got a great editor. So a publicist can't work magic, but what a publicist, well, no, let me not say that. But we can take what you have and shape it in a way that will make a successful book campaign.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you mentioned, like, even just the littlest thing as a book cover.
Oh, yeah.
It's 1,000 words. They say a picture speaks.
I have done a workshop, and there was a producer there from CNN. And so I was talking to them about, it was at NABJ, and that's National Association of Black Journalists. And so I was talking to them and telling them about the importance of, when they get a book come across their desk, that it may not be, it may be the Noemi Nana, right? But really take the time to look, because it could be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And that's what Noemi is talking about, her ordeal with that and how she successfully overcame it. Well, there's an expert right there that you could use on the air. But what happens is, because the cover is horrible, the story could be compelling, but I'm seeing typos. She had to come back to me and say, the CNN producer, you know what? I get these books that come across my desk and they go right in the garbage. So thank you for opening my eyes with that, because I would never think to really look and see, well, maybe these folks are experts. They're writing about it. So it's little things like that that people look at that, they're not even going to get to open your book if it does not look
not compelling. Yeah. Don't get your little homeboy who got graphic designer in his IG bio to do your book cover.
Right.
Hit up the Oracle group now. So you guys work with the writers through every stage of the book writing process? No.
We get them when they are on their way to being published. So 6 months out is when we start. If it's like an A-list, we start 6 months out. Because, and the reason why we do that is because magazines like Ebony,
Zealies like us can't even say no. Just kidding.
Magazines like Vogue and Ebony, they have already planned their editorial calendars out 6 months in advance. So if I know that my client's book is coming 6 months from now, I am pitching those magazines for stories to be put into their magazines the time when my client's book is dropping. But I have to do that about 6 months out.
I mean, I know you mentioned knowing why you're writing a book and not saying, hey, I'm writing because I want to make money. But for, I'm one to secure the bag.
Okay.
I like securing the bag.
Okay.
That's what puts the gas in the car, pay the bills, and makes mama happy. How easy is it to make a living as a book writer? Do you think, you navigating this industry for 11 years?
The thing is that it's not easy. It's not easy. But you have to keep your expertise in mind because your book is pretty much talking about a solution that you have. I'm not saying that you can't make money off a book, but it doesn't make sense. If I write a book about breast cancer awareness, right? I'm not going to go to a place where, it's a kids book festival and be a featured speaker there. Them kids don't want to hear about my in and out of the hospital visits, my chemo, no. Guess what? Breast Cancer Awareness Month, December and October, I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to be on the news. I'm going to be at everybody's events. So you can make money, but you don't sell. Never sell. Go to a place where they want your solution. So there's a bunch of women there at a breast cancer awareness event, and you say, you know what? This is what I did. I started holistic eating. I started prayer and meditation in the morning. So you've got a solution in your hand. So the people there are like, gimme. You overcame it. I want to do it too. Give me that book. You don't have to sell. You're bringing a solution to them.
Man, you just speaking to 10 Stuck in the Middle podcast guests we already have. Because like I said in the start of this podcast, there's a lot of people who hit me up who want to write books. You know what I mean? And who have written books and it's sitting in the dresser at home.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? So I really this is why I'm really excited about this episode, and I really do. I know people are gonna hit you up.
All right. Well,
and that's just leading me to remind viewers and listeners that this episode is brought to you by Perfect Office Solutions. Bringing office space to entrepreneurs and business people in the DMV area. So if you need an office space, hit them up. Perfect Office Solutions on. You can just Google it and use our SITM podcast as a promotion code. You get 10% off your monthly lease. Tell them we sent you. You get 10%. Yeah.
All right.
But listen though, are you impressed with what you see right now in the African writing industry, right? I know we have the Chimamanda Ngozi, and when I say Chimamanda, that lets you know that I know that, you know what I'm saying?
You do.
That's where my mind is, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's people here where we don't know, and so you come across, are you impressed with what is coming out right now where we are?
I am. There are so many good books coming out, and I think there's so many I think there's an appreciation for African writers and the step that African writers are taking, more and more are taking, to be in control of their own narrative. And that's in everything. That's in music. That's in, let us tell our own stories, right? So publishers are starting to really recognize that, and they're starting to recognize that that there's a market for it. Yeah.
I think They need to chill out because we gonna keep that bag where it's supposed to be.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
gonna write me a book too. Shoot,
Uh-huh,
I'm gonna write that book about dudes. But that leads me to another question. That, and I've had this debate a couple of times with people. Is I'm not gonna name names though.
Okay.
Because I got a couple of names in my head as I ask this question.
Okay.
Is the a spot on the best-selling list, bought? Like Forbes best-selling list, or I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because somebody will drop a book today. Granted, they might have clout, or the book might be really that compelling or sell, and then tomorrow, best-selling, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
There's a lot of stuff can be bought these days.
Okay. So, different book selling lists have different rules, right? So, if I'm Bill Gates and I wrote a book and I know I need my book to be like a New York Times bestseller, what's to stop me from just going and buying 10,000, 20,000 books and hitting the list? No, they have safeguards in place that they try as much as possible to flag it. You know, if you buy, 50 books, let's say I'm gonna buy 50 books, so 50 more of my books. So like, let's say you're speaking somewhere and you tell somebody, okay, you don't have to pay me, but I need you to buy 500 of my books for all the people that are going to be there. You can get it from Amazon, and in your head you're thinking, good, that's 500 closer to the New York Times bestselling list. No, that's one step closer, because the way the New York Times bestseller list gathers their information, stores have to send their
Weekly
their numbers.
numbers,
They have to send their numbers in. That $500 purchase is counted as one transaction.
Sheesh. That's some hard stuff.
Right. So it's to kind of weed out things like that. Now, there are other lists that you can go and you can do the same thing, but they don't count that way. They say 500 books this week.
Dang.
Right? So you've hit this bestseller list. There are other lists that are easier to manipulate than others. So
just go buy some comments on Amazon and some star ratings.
That's why it's not, I mean, the end goal is, it's nice to hit the list. And I think also it's very important to people who have been on their grind for a while, and celebrities, and, people who thousands and thousands of people, go to for their information, to be on the bestseller list. It's important to them. I get it. But Joe Schmo, when you're just starting your book, you can make your way to the Amazon bestseller list. It's not that difficult.
Man, I think everybody's like me, for example. I like to be on the road. I'm an artist. I haven't been on the road as much as I would love to. I think even writers would like to be touring. I know right now you say you're working on
Jennifer
Lewis's tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, how hard is putting it on together, a tour?
You see, and that's what makes the work easier. Now, when I say easier in the sense that easier to pitch and easier to get a reaction. But the harder part comes in because you've got to manage the person and manage what they want, what makes them comfortable, because, if they're not comfortable, they're not happy, they're not signing books, they're not smiling, I had a client like that for him to be happy to sign, I had to carry a toaster in my bag, and the type of bread that he likes, and the type of tea that he likes, and watch him on that podium and wait till I anticipate he's going to say his last word. Usually he did like a spin first. I'd be like, okay, put the toaster down, put the toast down. So as soon as he comes off, the kettle is going, one of those electronic kettles are going. So as soon as he comes down, your tea, your bread, because I want him to be happy signing all that long line of books down there.
Dang.
That's what I had to do. Like, sometimes it's Devil Wears Prada, but not with Jennifer. But I'm just saying everybody has different needs. But those things, that's what makes it kind of difficult. But booking them, no, not at all.
You do a lot of traveling.
I do. I do.
How long have you been married?
I have been married for 12 years.
Your husband a lover of books?
Sorry. Audiobooks, yes.
Yeah.
Audiobooks.
Go back to it. And how many kids?
We have 3.
Boy, how many boys?
1.
1 boy, 2 girls. They loving books?
They do. They do, but it's just young people consume information just different.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe they'll get into the audiobooks, driving around with dad, listen to it.
Yeah.
How do you balance, the work life, personal life? Yeah.
Well, I do have to say that I'm not the best at it, but I don't turn down help. My family unit is just what it is. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make as women and as parents is to look at other people's marriage and other people's lives or TV and think that, well, dag, if my marriage doesn't look like that, then I'm failing. Whatever works for you, make it work. My husband is like, now I can cook, but my husband is like one of the best chefs out there. My friends come over, they're like, okay, what do you
don't have a thing about you. They want his joint.
They're not. So that just works in our family. There are things, it's a give and take. And thank God my parents are a great resource as well. They moved from Florida. They live with me. So they help me to balance everything out. So it might be my mom doing homework with Pierre, my son. Then it might be me doing homework with Noemi. It might be, Divine taking, the children out, the oldest out to whatever practice or whatever she has. We just try to make it work. Every day is a new day. We try to plan as much as we can. But, we just do what we have to do to make it work.
I love it.
Yeah.
And, building the Oracle Group. And we always, here on Stuck in the Middle podcast, it's a platform for entrepreneurs, people like yourself. And just, people listening maybe want to, be a part of the Oracle Group or have something similar trying to build or writers. We struggle. We have different barriers that we are constantly trying to break. And you have, I'm sure, in the 11 years, have to break a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell us about a time where you're like, yo, this thing is tough. I'm finna throw in a towel. And how you overcame that?
So there was a book that came out by a certain male singer and a certain popular reverend. They had a book.
She ain't dropping names.
They had a book, and it was like, yes, this is going to be great. This is going to be. So we're at the DC event, and it was just a nightmare. So the young singer, I don't know if he was off that day, but he's like cursing at the audience, like, y'all shut up and all this, and cursing at the audience.
I'm sure some colorful words.
Yes. And then the reverend was beside him, didn't do anything. Like, didn't say, come on, calm down. Nothing. So it was, then by the time we got to the signing, they didn't even look up. They were like laughing, looking at each other, just passing the books. Not a hello, not a, there was one young lady who was, more fluffy, big, walked up, and the young man bust out laughing, and then the reverend bust out laughing, and then she was like, I want in on the joke, what's going on? So after that, so many people were disappointed. They want their money back, but my intention going in was the subject matter was really cool. So that day I went home, and for a couple of days I was like, I'm done, I can't, so I remember it like clearly. So my husband and I were driving home, and I heard on the radio that I was about to say the Sun Sentinel, that's Florida. Washington Post had their career section, biggest career section, look for jobs, they're posting jobs, all kinds of stuff. So I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go get a job because I'm done with all of this. So I'm going to drop y'all home. Let me run to the store to go get the newspaper and come back and look for jobs because I'm just done with this. So on my way there, I turn into the gospel station, licking my wounds, feeling sorry for myself. Yolanda Adams is coming up next. Let's see if she has a word. I'm like, yeah, okay, Yolanda's going to sing. I open up my heart, all that. I can cry. Yolanda, sing me happy. Yolanda comes on. They're like, anything you want to say? She's like, yes. I want to tell people that we give up too easy. I'm like, no, stop. If it were easy, everyone would be doing what you do. But you were given what you do for a reason. So lick your wounds, get up, keep going, because it's not going to happen overnight. Keep going. Needless to say, I turned the car wheel around and drove back home. But what I had to do was I had to be more selective in who I was working with. So it's just when those things happen to you, when you're at the worst time, You know, I did an event 2 years ago for my anniversary. I was in bed for a week crying. It went so horrible. Now, the person didn't know.
Yeah,
but,
I bet.
You know, I look online, I'm getting
Yeah.
dragged. I didn't think I could recover from it. But there were some changes that I needed to make that I didn't make.
Growing pains, learning experiences.
Yeah, it's like if you don't listen to your instincts, if you don't listen to that small voice that you have inside of you, if you don't listen, you know, those things will keep happening over and over again until you get it. So that's what I would say to young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are coming up. When things happen that devastate you, it just means that you've got to tweak. You know, you're going to fall down so many times. You know, I could leave here tomorrow. I could get back in my car and I have a note from Jennifer saying, you know what, you suck. I'm going somewhere else. You know, like, you see what I mean? Things happen all the time, but you just have to get up and keep it moving.
What's the best part then in running a group like a company like the Oracle Group? I'm sure it's like probably the reward, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You tell me.
I think the most rewarding
What
part,
gives you that, like, dang, I'm going to do another 11 years?
Yeah. Getting the stories out to the people that it's intended for. When I see Jennifer at an event and she's talking about being bipolar, and someone gets up and starts crying and saying, you know what, when my daughter found out that you were bipolar, you know, her whole attitude changed because she's like, I'm not alone in this. This isn't something that I'm alone in, that if Jennifer Lewis can have this, struggle through it and still be successful, then I can still be successful too. So when I see those types of things happen, people crying and all of that, that's the rewarding part, that the book has done its job. And I've helped the book to do its job, to get to that audience, to do its job.
Man, you got your own book coming out, the Mocha Method. Mocha. I'm sorry. Help me pronounce this.
The Mocha Method.
The Mocha Method.
Yeah.
What can readers expect from this book?
Readers,
sure, you're giving away tips, heavy tips. By the way, go get this. When does it come out?
It's coming out March 31st.
That's
I had to
around the
push
corner.
it back a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
Because people wanted. When I sent it to the editor, she was like, "Are you serious? This is." People are expecting a lot more
From you, especially.
So what I did now is, you know, I know that people are visual. I know that people, you know, kind of want to see examples. So what I've tried to do with every thing that I'm saying that you need to involve in your campaign and why you need to do it, I'm taking one of my clients and doing a case study and showing them why that works. So they can expect to learn a lot, I hope, and they can expect to be able to start their campaigns and, you know, get on the right track. And, you know, because what happens with a lot of authors is that by the time you finish the book, you're like, look, it's time for me to make some money off of this thing. I done spent so much, and here comes the flash sale and 2-for-1 and no, you didn't write the book for a flash sale and a 2-for-1. You wrote the book with a solution to get it to a particular person or group of people, and keep that in mind, you know? So that's what this book, it kind of reminds the author of, listen, give this solution to the world. It's not about this bestseller. It's about get your solution to the people who need it.
Hey, you said that so many times. I think I'm finna write a book now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's instilled into me.
Yeah.
Man, we're running short on time, but you know, we can't give away all the information and stuff in the middle. People, please go get the book, The Mocha Method. Gonna hear some questions right now from people watching live.
Okay.
This one is packed.
Okay.
It says, what happens when you combine an international renowned A-list book publicist and then an acclaimed celebrity ghostwriter and book publishing expert? Whoever framed this question they got some sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes. Who's that question from?
Hey.
Okay. Okay. So I'm about to start a new venture that I can't really.
Hey man, you don't stuck in the middle podcast. You gotta drop exclusives.
So we're about to start. So what happens when you?
What happens when you combine an international renowned A-list book publicist and an acclaimed celebrity ghostwriter and book publishing expert?
What happens? A takeover happens.
So that book just is like, you know.
No, it's not. It's just more than the book.
Break it down for dummies like me.
I can't.
Oh shoot.
Let me put it this way. I was with what's his name? Gosh,
Charlamagne the God?
No. Yes, 2 days ago. He's a power networker. I was on a show with him.
Martin down in DC on
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah. This is horrible. You turn 45 and it's over. But so I was on with him anyway. He's a marketing expert, and he says that we as a people of color, are the only people that don't stick together and come together to solve our own problems.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
So they said that, East Indians, a lot of them own the hotel motel industry, that the Jewish folks, they come together, they think about Israel, they send money to Israel. The one thing that we don't do is, yes, we become independently wealthy, but we don't say, I can do this and you can do that. Why don't we come together and solve that problem? Pretty much what happens when you bring a book publicist who knows how to get the books out there and who knows the track to do, how to get on different lists and get the book to their intended audience. But I don't know the whole publishing process. But there's another sister out there who's a bad CEO, runs a publishing company, who writes well, who, is publishing books like crazy. Well, what happens when you bring these two Black women CEOs together in a partnership?
Hey, it just clicked to me.
What happens?
Takeover.
A takeover. And you can find out about that takeover in March, because that's when we're announcing it.
Where?
Everywhere.
Oh, I dig it. Yo, that's exciting. I can't
It is.
wait.
It
I can't
is.
wait.
It
Now,
is.
shout out to you and everything you do. I really hope people get a lot from this. But we've come to a segment of the podcast now where, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Rapid fire questions.
Oh boy.
I got 7 of them.
Oh boy. Okay.
And you gotta just answer
The
quick.
pressure. Okay.
And you get a chance to explain 2.
Oh gosh.
So you give the answer and then explain, all right?
Okay.
Average. This one, you can explain this one because, it's going to beg for an explanation. On average, how many books do you read a year?
I would about 100.
Favorite genre?
Oh, biography.
Favorite male writer?
Oh gosh, I'd get in trouble. Okay, right now let me say Derek Barnes, because he wrote an amazing children's book that got all kinds of awards. So.
All right, favorite female writer?
Oh Lord, Chimamanda.
Shout out to Auntie.
Yeah.
Favorite book quote?
Favorite book quote? Oh my gosh. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
I like it. I'm not gonna ask you where that's from. That's putting you on the spot. This
Ella
one
Johnson
is also.
Sirleaf.
Oh, okay. This one. Oh, okay. This one is also putting you on the spot, but you gotta answer it. Worst book you've read?
If I were to tell you the worst books that I've read, it would be in that same vein. I'm telling you, the people that send books that they don't take the time to invest in what that book looks like or the editing of that book. So that there's not one book. There are several.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen a ton of it. My last question was, what's your take on audiobooks? But we touched on that already. Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on Stuck in Middle podcast, dropping mad gems on us.
Okay.
It's I know AK is happy, and I really hope the listeners have learned a lot.
Okay.
I know I have, and I'm still gonna write that book of my man Deuce. You know what I mean? How can people reach you, and how can people contact you for business and all that stuff?
Sure. They can go to www.theoraclegroupinc.co. So it's the oraclegroupinc.co. And my other site is under construction, but it'll be up very soon. It's called themochamethod.co. I do have a very active The Mocha Method group on Facebook. And what that is, because I've been talking about getting your message out to the right people. If you're an author, I implore you, go to that site, because all I do in that group is drop speaking opportunities, conferences that are looking for speakers, podcasts that are looking for.
We're in there.
Yeah.
Just get your car. We are driving. In fact, next week we're there.
Okay. Okay. Podcasts that are looking for guests, media that's looking for media experts. So every tool that we can give you to get your story out there, that's all I do in that group. So join it. Look for these TED Talks. I mean, I've got TED Talks galore. Yeah, I'm doing 2 this year. So,
I think we do, son. We give away too much information on this podcast, yo. People need to start paying us, fam.
Exactly.
People need to start paying, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But listen, dude, time's short.
Okay.
Follow her, and you can get more, because I know you do a lot of lives on Facebook.
Yeah.
Please, 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 please. You've been listening and watching the author of the Mocha Method, Mocha Ochoa-Nana. She is the CEO of the Oracle Group. Thank you so much for coming to Stuck in the Middle podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Please come back.
And keep doing what you do. This is a great resource to the community. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Yeah. Yes. Next week, we'll be sitting with an author.
Okay.
We're going to keep the theme going for another week. Hannah Sawyer. Her sister was on the podcast last week. Mm-hmm. She's coming on the podcast next week. She's a youth poet and author for Girls Growing Into Their Hips. My brother's read this book. He's passing it on to me to study for this week, preparing for this podcast. It's dope.
Okay.
It's a dope book. She's from Baltimore.
Okay.
And I think she's from Sierra Leone. So we're going to be talking to her next week, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. Please don't forget to review the show and follow us on all social media platforms, SITM Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/SITM Podcast, and please hit that notification so when we drop the videos, you get it first. And please also send us an email at sitmpodcast237@gmail.com with guest suggestions and all that good stuff. We'd love to hear from you guys. Again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're Stuck in the Middle podcast, and we are out. I wish I had AK to say it together like we always do. I miss you, bruh. Shout out to AK. All right, we out.